Hey guys, welcome back. It feels so good to be in the garden and picking up the camera filming a video. The last few weeks have been absolutely crazy. One, we've been trying to get this chicken coop built. The chickens really need to go out. I'm hoping that we get this done this next weekend, but here's like a little sneak peek of the action. Last week I did not mean to take off, and now I feel so behind in the garden because last week was the week I really needed to get majority of things hardened off and planted, and that's what's happening this week instead, because unfortunately I had a bad case of food poisoning. I did mention this over on my Instagram stories, and I did make a post here on YouTube later on the week just letting you guys know there would not be a video. So I was really hoping by day 2 of food poisoning everything would just mysteriously go away, but unfortunately I had it for 5 days. I had to go to the ER because I was so dehydrated. It was an awful experience, but I'm feeling so much better. But unfortunately, not all of my seedlings I planted made it out alive. So before the effects of food poisoning hit me, I actually decided to get all of my plants outside for day 1 of hardening off. I only plan to have them outside for about 2 hours, and that's exactly when it just kind of hit me. And I did mention it to my husband, but he was really busy that day. So unfortunately, all of my tomatoes stayed outside all day. And instead of planting ugly, awful, sad tomatoes from not hardening them off correctly, since I didn't have the chance to. I mean, I'm sure I could have tried to power through, but that day was really rough. So unfortunately, I did lose like half of my tomato starts, but honestly, they were so big. They've been such a pain in the butt to deal with. So as some of you know, I did get new lighting, and I kept all of my tomatoes under this new lighting. And unfortunately, it's not really unfortunate, but it's fortunate but unfortunate. They were just way more powerful. These plants are huge. These are bigger than what I did last year, and I started them a whole 4 weeks after. So these tomato starts are just, they're huge. Some of them, like this one, still looks really, really good and all. This is a pain to deal with inside. I never want to deal with this again. But with my little oopsie, it did remind me of something that I could do that I wanted to tell you guys. So if you are not someone who starts their plants off by themselves and you don't want to buy a lot of plants, this is a money saving hack on tomatoes that you can do. So you can actually cut off these suckers and put them in water. And since I told you guys before, these little hairs that are on a tomato plant, these will actually create roots. So I have cuttings from a week ago when everything initially went down. I had one of my bumblebees got decapitated. We had like 4 or 5 of my tomato plants just completely topple over on the first day of bringing them back inside. So I went ahead and just took those cuttings and stuck them in water. I'll get a clip for you guys showing you the roots. So I went ahead and did that with all of my Roma. I took all of the suckers off, and then I also cut off the tops, so those will be rerooted. That way I am not using more seeds, and I'm also just using the plants that I already had. So, and they're also going to be a lot more advanced than me just direct sowing into the ground. So after about a week, 2 weeks of these rooting, I will put them in the ground, and they will be about a 3 or 4 week old tomato roughly versus a 1 to 2 week old tomato. So I will get a little bit more of a head start, but that way I'm also not spending more money on seeds, and I'm using what I had. It feels so good to be planting again. I don't even think you know, especially because last week I just was really ready to plant already, and I was already behind. So it finally feels good to get my hands in dirt. So while I was doing tomatoes, this reminded me of another thing I wanted to talk about, because I had a handful of you guys reach out to me about this as well, because you guys were worried you didn't hear from me, and then you guys also heard there was tornadoes in Kansas, and luckily enough we got very fortunate. There was actually a pretty decent tornado that formed about 5 miles from my house. I got all the warnings from it, but we lived west. It did do a lot of destruction, so we got very, very lucky. We did get some hail, and with that hail, some of my celery, you can see I need to go through and trim off all the ones that got damaged. Very minimal damage. I was kind of worried because I had friends west of here mention that they got some pretty decent hail, and I have all of my garlic, and garlic can get ruined so fast. I have 2 beds of garlic over there. You guys can obviously see it. It's doing so good. But yeah, May in Kansas is pretty much like a heart attack every week. You typically have chances of something and you just hope for the best. But the one thing I really wanted to show you guys is look how beautiful the pink is coming through now that they are in the ground. Pink celery to me is just absolutely beautiful. I love it. A lot of people ask me, does it taste the same? Yeah, very similar. I use it in the exact same way. Didn't notice a difference. And I mean, just the splash of color, I think, is just game changer. So with that being said, I am trying to knock out a lot of my planting this week. This is my indeterminate variety, so this is one of those varieties that will continue to grow. This is my cherry variety. This, I love it. It's a pink bumblebee. It gives you this really pretty, like pinky, orangey, reddy, stripy cherry tomato that just tastes so amazing. Love it. I grew it last year, really enjoy it. I will be planting out all of my peppers toward the end of the week as well. I had quite a few guys ask me that question. Pretty much if I have something in a pot, I'm going to be trying to knock it out. I'm also going to be doing a lot of direct sowing this week as well, and I had a few of you guys ask me if it's too late to direct sow. Oh my gosh, not at all. I personally love direct sowing, and I think next year I will probably be doing a lot more direct sowing than starting stuff from seed. I'm at the point right now where I'm really over just dealing with seedlings and also chickens in my basement. Everything needs to come out of my basement. I'm sick of having a mini farm in my basement. If you're new to planting tomatoes, if you can plant your tomato as deep as possible, the better, again, because the roots will continue to grow up that stem. I'm so excited to have this trellis right at the front of my garden. So I will be doing a garden tour for you guys either next week or the week after the first one of the year. It's something I try to do monthly to show you the progress of the garden and how things change throughout the season. If you're interested, I do have some from the last few years in a playlist that you can check out. And you can also see how much the garden's changed significantly in the last few years as well. One last thing I'm going to do with my tomatoes today is actually prune off any foliage about 1 foot to the base of the plant. That is to help with aeration, helps with all fungal problems. It keeps water off leaves and those leaves getting sick and then spreading to the rest of the plant. I do have my pruners and a little alcohol bottle here. So I did want to make this note because I have made this mistake in the past for any newbies out there. This is important because if you're going around to all of your plants and you're pruning stuff off and you don't clean it and they are sick, you can spread disease very, very fast. That is how a lot of blight will just get out of hand very quickly. So especially with tomatoes, I won't do this with everything, but especially when I'm pruning all of my tomatoes, I like to make sure I'm cleaning my pruners in between just as a precaution. It honestly just feels so good to be outside, especially because I was just cooped inside, not feeling well at all last week. But I think I'm going to try to get some of this planting just knocked out tonight. So I think I'm gonna leave you guys here. Sorry if this was like not the most exciting video. I promise there's more to come, but I felt like there was just so much to fill you guys in on since I was gone for 2 weeks. But with that being said, if you like never hear from me for like a period longer than a week, check my Instagram, check my TikTok. I'm sure I've either posted over there or I've given you guys some type of update if I haven't gotten over to YouTube yet. But thank you guys so much for all the kind words, checking up on me. I really truly appreciate that. Like honestly, that's just amazing and I am forever thankful. But I will see you guys all next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.